This is William, hopefully your favorite videographer. We are here at the Dallas Area Rapid Transit Board meeting, the agency known as DART to Dallas, Texas residents. As a service to the Dallas community, we plan to cover DART board meetings from gavel to gavel. Public comments are required to keep DART board aware of issues close to the ridership that they may not get through other resources.
I think that's bad grammar, but seeing no revisions, do I have a motion to approve?
Move for approval.
A second? Thank you. All in favor, please push your button to indicate. The motion carries. Thank you. We are going to move into the agendas since our guest of honor is not here yet, caught in traffic, ironically enough. And so we'll go to the consent agenda, and that is Ms. Marino. Consent? I'm sorry, would you let me?
Move approval.
Thank you. Okay, that's, okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor, please push your buttons accordingly. The motion carries. Thank you very much. Even though I don't, I'm sorry? What's wrong? It's not? It's 14.
It's got the wrong name.
Yeah, we're having a technical problem. Mr. Hayden is not here. Should we do it again we could do it the old-fashioned way by raising our hand if we'd prefer. Oh, yeah, really. Okay, is that glitch fixed? Should we try again? Okay, let's try one more time. All in favor, please vote yes. If you're opposed, obviously you will vote no. Thank you. The motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much.
Madam Chair, I don't know if it's right, because mine is showing it's not voted.
And mine is as well.
The names haven't been changed.
All right, then shall we go the old-fashioned way? Shall we raise our hand? All in favor, please raise your hand. Aye. And say aye. Thank you. Anyone opposed? The motion carries on the third opportunity there. Thank you. The next item is item number 7, and this is the appointment of directors to the Dallas Area Rapid Transit Bus Service LGC Board of Directors. We are nominating for your approval tonight that Gary Slagle will take the position that Faye Wilkins is vacating, and that Todd Plesko will be in the position that David Leiniger is vacating. So if, with your concurrence, everybody can say aye. Aye. Is anyone opposed? Say nay. The motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. The next item is the contract for owner-controlled insurance program, OSIP, and that's Rick Stouffer.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is approving a contract for owner-controlled insurance program, administrative series to Willis of Texas. This was recommended by the admin committee and the committee as a whole, and I move its approval.
Is there a second? Second. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Thank you. The motion carries. We're going to go back up now to our general items, and we will have the public comments. I'm going to read the usual script that many of you are familiar with. The general public comments will be allowed at the beginning of each start board meeting for a total of 30 minutes, and again at the end of the meeting when the 30-minute period does not accommodate all persons who have been signed up to speak. If you wish to speak at the end of the meeting, please fill out a public speaker card and turn it into board support staff prior to the start of the meeting. Individuals who have addressed the board in the past 30 days will be recognized to speak during the public comment period at the end of the meeting. During the public comment period, board members may not interact with the speakers or other board members by asking questions or offering their own comments. Members of the public are reminded that their behavior during dartboard meetings is governed by the Dartboard Code of Conduct for citizens, news media, and visitors. Personal attacks, impertinent or slanderous remarks, and boisterous conduct will not be allowed. Each speaker will have 3 minutes to address the board. The green light on the podium will indicate when you can begin. The yellow light is a warning light, and then the red light will tell you when your time is up and it has expired. The first speaker this evening is Coach Norris Johnson. Is Coach Norris Johnson? Thank you, sir. Okay.
Good afternoon, Madam Chairman, Mr. Thomas, Mr. Carlson, and I often bump into each other up at Walnut Hill Station because we're DART users. I want to thank you all for the continued progress I'm constantly seeing with the growth of our system here, which, mind you, again, I have seen numerous ones across the nation that are far worse than what we have. And we're growing with proactivity and positivity. And I have 3 entities of the DART structure I wanted to give commendations to. The first of which is the retail sales DART crew out front, coordinated by Ms. Brenda Whitaker. Pretty smiles, good customer service. They even have a high level of tolerance for the K2 leftover people from down at West End. So they're to be commended. Secondly, the security force at the front desk, headed up by Chris. Very, very accommodating, very resourceful, and you never hear, "I don't know" from them. They find the answer when they don't have it. And last but certainly not least, the DART Police Department, headed up by Chief Spiller, and my now friend, Chief Addison, who's back here in the back. I made a reference to a situation on the 164 line where there was very obvious and consistent marijuana sales on the bus. That was addressed, and from what I'm hearing, it has been curtailed quite well. So thanks to Chief Addison and his crew for that. My last item of concern, and I know I sound like a broken record, but I'm noticing as I hang out at West End occasionally and other stations, a hesitancy by the officers to make an arrest. And that's purely because they got to pay to put prisoners away in the city jail. Somebody ought to know somewhere, like Jennifer Starbuck Gates or somebody with a connectivity to the business community with tax write-off capacity, to get the Dawson jail for DART police. Sorry I went over a bit, but thanks for hearing me out.
Thank you, Coach
Take care.
Johnson, appreciate it. The next speaker is William Dockery, followed by Richard Sheridan.
Greeting board members, William Dockery here, 4326 Gaston Avenue. I want to thank you all, and you can thank whoever needs to be thanked. And kudos is what I'm trying to say, is that the 7 years I've been doing videoing the DART, the Fair Park 4th of July fireworks, I'll get it right. DART has made an effort to make sure at least I and all the people that are with me got a bus home. And that's basically all I want to say. I don't know who delayed the one last bus so we could all go home or not. I heard several interesting stories from the ones that were sitting on the bus for an hour waiting to try and get home themselves, but they're all fairly nice about it, and we were happy to get home from Fair Park because they started late, and when I saw the last bus was supposed to leave there at 10 o'clock, I said, oh no, because I was there at 11. So thank you very much. Kudos, all of you.
Thank you, Mr. Dockery. Appreciate that. Mr. Sheridan?
Evening. Appreciate being here. Richard Sheridan, 3817 Vanette Lane, Dallas, Texas. I'm here to ask the board to revote on the fare increase, and here's why. I've been an advocate for the homeless for 15 years, and before the City Council and the Commission's Court, the last time I spoke there, I said these words, introduced what I was saying with these words. Thomas Paine said these words during another American crisis. These are the times which try our souls, it was men back then. Certainly in today's American crisis, the following growing societal issues are trying our souls: materialism, greed, suicide, school shootings, teen pregnancies, opioid addictions, political and racial tensions, blatant mass media lies to divide us, children's sex trafficking, gentrification, lack of affordable housing, poverty and homelessness. There's no coincidence that homelessness is on the rise as affordable housing is on the rise. That's one of the causes, certainly, of homelessness. I stated many years ago that our homeless are like miners canaries, basically indicating that danger is coming. That was 10 years ago, and these are dangerous times, and any government body has to deal with society issues. I thank you for it, because it is a difficult time to be in a government body and to make difficult decisions. So my understanding is the City Council, when it wants to bring up an item for reconsideration, for revote, there's a memorandum that's signed by 5 City Council members. They bring it up for discussion, and then they decide whether they want it revoted or not. Now, you all are appointed by the City Council, and I hope that the will of the people is reflected through you, as the will of the people is reflected through the City Council in giving them the right to revote on particular issues. And all things that have been said over the last few months, hundreds of people have come before you to talk about the reasons why postpone it. We all know that there's going to be increases, but with the economic conditions, with the poverty conditions, I'd like you to consider at least bringing it up for discussion and possibly revote on this important issue. So thank you very much. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Mr. Sheridan. The next speaker is Josh Crabtree, followed by Mark York. Is Mr. Crabtree here? Is Mr. York here?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Mark York. I'm the Executive Secretary Treasurer of the Dallas AFL-CIO Central Labor Council, representing about 55,000 workers here in Dallas County. I'm here to talk about Cheryl Samuelson, a DART employee / union official of ATU. You know, over my 30-year career in the union world, I've noticed that employees are held to one standard and union officials are held to another. What an employee will get away with and a union official would not. Although it'd be the same violation or rule breaking or whatever it is, the union official is always held to a higher standard, which thus gives them the most severe punishment available to be given to an employee. Now, we're going to hear people come in here and tell you about how great Cheryl is and all the great work she's done, but I'm here to talk about union officials being held to a different standard than others. The very basic foundation of the labor movement is for us to advocate for workers, their rights, and the rights of the public. The AFL-CIO is willing to come down and bring all of our weight down to protect our union members and our union officials. We encourage the CEO, the president, to bring back this employee, because what I understand from what violation she's done, it doesn't deserve your employment being terminated. That's pretty serious. We have wife and children, kids to feed over what? I don't advocate for bad workers. I advocate to be treated fairly and equally like anybody else. And I appreciate the time that you've given us. Gary, I look forward to hearing from you, and we can resolve this issue. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I am going to, thank you. I'm going to take the next group of speakers now, because Faye's not here. Okay, the next speaker is Gary Stewart. Gary Stewart is followed by Destin Germany.
Good evening, Board. My name is Gary Stewart. I live in Dallas, Texas.
Riger Road, 6133. I'm a member of DSA and one of the founding members of the North Texas Transit Writers. I'm sorry to sound like a broken record, but again, we urge you, we demand you as citizens of the city to not raise transit fares by 20%. Over and over and over again, you've had citizens, particularly from South Dallas, which has been hit by human-caused poverty, by racism, who are struggling financially and cannot afford such a rate hike. And this was confirmed for me over and over again this weekend. North Texas Transit Writers, we set up a pop stop down in South Dallas at a location that does not have a bench, is open to the heat. We set up a tent, we set up chairs, tables, we had water, ice cream, and told people, come here and say no to the 20% rate hike. But also, it is a wasteland, economic wasteland, due to Dallas's historic racism, where people have shoddy, if any, facilities for bus stops. And it's been 107 degrees. Women, older men, children are having, people who are sick, who are crippled, or are having to stand out in outrageous heat, exposed to the elements, and buses that do not run on time. This is not by accident. This is not because of their moral failings. It is because of the moral failings of this city and of this board that you have turned your back on Dallas citizens and are pandering to suburban cities and their demands for development up there. What about developing our own, at least developing transit for the poor that have been treated shoddily by this city? Again, show some moral leadership and say no to any increase in transit fares. There are cities, major cities in the world that make it free because transportation, availability of good, working, safe transportation is a human right. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Stewart. Destin, Germany. Is Destin, thank you. And Destin, Germany is followed by Thomas Hutchins.
What's up, guys? My name is Destin. I'd like to start off my comments today with the phrase, may no good deed go unpunished. It is a puzzling phrase because you assume that good deeds bring rewards, but the case is not always so. In the instance of standing up to workplace harassment, fighting for better health care, and being a staunch supporter of her coworkers in her community, Sherlyn Samuel has been punished and terminated for fighting the righteous fight. When someone speaks out against prevailing institutions, they are often met with backlash, and oftentimes the consequences are dire. Sherlyn was not terminated for being bad at her job. She was terminated for exposing the flaws and the wrongdoings in your system. It is on behalf of the North Texas Transit Riders and countless members of this community that Sherlyn serves that I ask her job be reinstated with back pay, and that DART hires more people like Sherlyn who have a certain knack for exposing flaws and making the workplace and community better for everyone. As always, we come forth and ask that you do not raise the fares this August because of the negative impact it will have on low-income riders and DART ridership. It shouldn't have to be said, but we want people to ride DART for the many benefits that public transit brings. It helps those of us with no form of personal transportation get to and from work, home, and play. And for those of us who do have personal transportation, it allows us an avenue to be more environmentally conscious. Dallas is about to be among the highest fare costs in the country without any of the amenities or services to justify a surge in fares. We ask that you rescind this fare restructure and come up with a plan that increases ridership and does not negatively affect the often forgotten of our community. Think about the people who are dependent upon DART and how their lives can be made better by this system. Also, I would like to speak to anyone who can clarify if the tap cards will be ready at the same time that the fare restructure will take place. Because if not, I feel that the fare restructure needs to be pushed back. Thank you.
Mr. Germany, Joe Costello is out there. He can answer the tap card question for you.
Joe?
Is Joe there? Yeah, thank you. Thomas Hutchison? Is Mr. Hutchison here? Kenneth Day?
They didn't know y'all was starting early.
They're on their way.
They on their way.
I beg your pardon?
They're on their way.
They're on their way. Thank you. I'm sorry. Alec Talecki, are you here?
Hello, I just wanted to add one more voice to Mr. Germany, who just spoke in favor of Ms. Sherlyn Samuel, who's been dismissed from her job for no good reason. And I'd just like to say, it seemed very clear to me that as soon as she spoke up about an evident fact that most members of the CAC who come to dartboard meetings don't look like most of the ridership, she was immediately terminated shortly after that. And I think that's a terrible thing for someone to speak up about obvious truths and immediately be dismissed for doing that. So I would ask that you reinstate Ms. Samuel with full back pay. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Talecki. I don't see Mr. Day or Mr. Hutchison yet. So what we'll do is we'll go to a different item, and then when they come in, they can speak, okay? Right now, I see our former chair, Ms. Wilkins, is in the audience. So would you like to come up to the podium? Faye, would you like your grandchildren to join you up there, or you would like to introduce them to us?
I would love to.
Great.
Great. I should start with my husband, though, Tom.
Well, of course, Tom. That goes without saying. Yes.
I would not have been able to do this without Tom's support. And Tom, if you could please stand. Most people know Tom. He's usually the one I bring with me, and I'll say, Tom, we need to do this or that, and he'll say, what time, Faye? So today we're a little bit late, so we do apologize for that. And then my daughter, Tamika, she's kept the company running for us for the last 19 years while I was here at God.
Wow.
And then my grandchildren, Brooke, who's down in the stand, Nicholas, and then Nicole. And then I have more that's not here yet, so they'll be
okay,
there.
well, welcome.
But thank you, Sue, and welcome, Lisa.
Well, this is a bittersweet moment where we're going to miss you, but we want to thank you for your service. I don't know if you've thought of it this way, but you came on the board in the 20th century and you're leaving in the 21st.
Yes.
So
yes.
That's pretty amazing right there.
Yes.
You actually joined the dartboard in 1999, and you've represented many different cities in your term, including Dallas, Plano, Farmers Branch, and Glen Heights. So you've been a very busy traveling person. During the nearly 20 years of service on the dartboard, Faye led the rail program committee as chair, and she focused on light rail build-out, regionalism, and DART's 20-year financial plan, which you'll never forget, I'm sure. She also chaired the Economic Opportunity and Diversity Committee and served on most every other committee DART has over her tenure as on the DART board. Faye and her husband Tom reside in the city of Plano, and she and her husband are the owners of the Wilkins Group, Inc., a telecom service provider in the city of Richardson. Faye has a daughter, Tamika, who we just met. She has Tamika Herod, and she has a son, Ronald Moses. She has 5 grandchildren, and we met, 2 of them, and 3 of them are still coming.
Yes.
Ivy Moses, Nia Moses, Nicholas Herod, Brooke Herod, and Beckham Moses. Great. The DART Board of Directors, of course, want to recognize you and your service and honor you this evening and tell you how much we will miss you. And we're going to give you a chance to make some remarks. And then Gary and I are going to come down and get our picture made with you and give you a small token of our appreciation.
Thank you, Chair Bowman. 19 years flew by. And I think back, and when I came on the board, I was representing the cities of Cockrell Hill and Glen Heights, the city of Dallas, along with Plano, and then Farmers Branch was added later. Now there are 3 board members representing those cities, so it took 3 to take that 1 seat. So Mark, you were blessed with Glen Heights, and Catherine has Cockrell Hill and Dallas, and then Lisa with Plano and Farmers Branch. So I always look back now and say it took 3 to take the place of 1. So when you guys are making decisions, I always say, what would Faye do? And making decisions based on that. I also think back of when there was no DCTA and how the TO in Fort Worth, and we decided at that time to put together a tri-party agreement so that the 3 major transit agencies in the Metroplex would have something in common and work toward a common goal. So please do not abandon that effort, whatever we do. Keep in mind, review the agreement that we made between the 3 of us, and let's keep it going. You mentioned the financial plan, the system plan. We're still working on the same system plan we started on almost 40 years ago. So keep that focus at the top forefront of what we are doing here and why we're doing it. We look at the corporations that's been attracted here simply because of our mass transit and what we have to offer here in the Metroplex. So I can't say I'm going to miss you guys, but if you wonder what I'm going to be doing, when I came on the board 19 years ago, I had no grandchildren. I now have 5, and the oldest is headed off to OU here in the fall. So that's how much of my time went toward supporting the effort of my cities while I was representing them here on the DART Board of Directors. So I thank staff for the support that I got from staff. I appreciate the camaraderie that we developed as a board, and just keep the mission at your forefront. Thank you.
Thank you, Faye. Yeah, don't run away. Here's a token of our esteem for you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. We're going to miss you.
Sure.
Mark, you want to come down? Where is he?
No, come on, Mark. I couldn't have done it without you.
Now, don't be reluctant. Gosh. Oh, let me move in here. Are you coming? Yeah. He's coming. Take him up there first. Everybody in between.
That takes more time.
You don't have to run away.
Thank you.
We'll see you.
Okay.
Thanks, Faye. I see Mr. Hutchins is here. No? Is Mr. Hutchins or Mr. Day here yet?
No, they haven't arrived, but they are en route.
Well, the problem is we're at the end of the board meeting. And so they're not here. And I'm afraid, I beg your pardon?
Madam Chairman, could we extend it for maybe 15 minutes?
No, we can't do that. I'm sorry. We can't hold the board meeting open for 15 minutes.
I think we weren't expecting it to begin so early. Josh was wanting to speak, so if he could speak, maybe that would give us some more.
Well, it's 7 o'clock. It's been an hour, so they would have been here by 6:30 anyway, I assume.
Well, we had someone who signed up to speak, we didn't know that it was starting so early.
They were signed up to speak at the end of the meeting because they spoke last time at the beginning. Well, board, we're in an interesting situation.
Has everyone spoken?
Everyone, does anyone have their cell phone that can call Mr. Day, Mr. Hutchins? We can't, I really apologize, but I think you understand they don't hold open the other public meetings because people are late. And I will certainly hear from them next time and encourage them to be here. I think that's the most I can do. So having said that, I'll certainly contact Mr. Day and Mr. Hutchinson and explain the issue and apologize, but they are late and we are through. So with that, I'm going to have to adjourn the meeting at 6:35 on Tuesday, July 10th, 2018. And we'll encourage them to come back and join us on the next board meeting. And they can talk at the beginning of the meeting.
At what time?
6:30. 6:30. Okay?